every indication, every academic study, every interrogator you talk to will tell you that torture is ineffective. It does not work. It doesn't produce the information you think it may produce. Doesn't matter what Jack Bauer finds. In real life, you talk to any experienced FBI or military interrogator, they will tell you it is ineffective. Now, that's a practical reason not to use it. It also doesn't give you any actionable intelligence on the battlefield. You can't really use anything you get. People talk about the ticking bomb scenario, but that's a sham. It's unlikely to happen, extremely unlikely to happen. And if you ever had someone in that circumstance, the likelihood is that they would lie to you or mislead you, because if they're committed enough to plant a nuclear bomb somewhere, then they're probably committed enough to die for their cause and to mislead you in another way. It's clearly, in the long run, counterproductive as well. And there are all kinds of historical examples, from Algeria to Israel to Abu Ghraib, where what we do when we torture people is usually create more enemies than any kind of small resolution we may get. It tends to promote other battlefield misconduct. If you have a military unit that's involved in breaking some rules, like the torture rules, then the chances are that they're going to be involved in other kinds of things that create poor discipline and poor morale on the battlefield. I have two bottom line reasons. One, it's unlawful. It's against every criminal code, against every international treaty. It's against domestic law. It's against international law. It's against every treaty we've signed, from the Geneva Conventions to the International Convention on Torture. We've signed up and agreed not to do that, and there are no reasons, practical or otherwise, to violate the law when, as we say, we're a country that adheres to the rule of law. When we don't do that, we become hypocrites in the eyes of the world. And the bottom line reason really is that it's just wrong. We profess to be a nation that believes in certain values. It's easy to espouse those values and say that you believe in them and believe in those principles when times are not tough. It's when times are difficult and when you're fighting an enemy that doesn't adhere to those rules that you really show what you're made of as a nation, what you're made of as an army, what's important to you. And it's in times like this where you separate yourself from those enemies who may torture people or behead others. You don't stoop to their level. You instead show them and the rest of the world and the people who may be on the fence about which way to go, what the right way to behave is, what the way that we believe is. The United States tends to profess to be the good guys. And I hope we're not just professing that, I hope that we are. The values that we exercise ought to be the values that we profess. And those ought to mean that we do not torture under any circumstance.